We have some more unfortunate news to get into, though. See, you know how there's this giant conflict happening between Palestine and Israel? Or, more importantly, Israel is doing a lot of terrible things at Gaza. There's a whole lot of opinions on that particular conflict I could give, but I've already given those opinions on my video going over the conflict insofar as I could find from the beginning of it till now. If you want to know all of that, go ahead, check that out. But today we're talking about something a little more awkward than that. The fact that evangelicals are praising this conflict, and not in the way that you would think, right? So it's one thing to praise this conflict because you want a response to what Hamas did on October 7th, or praising the conflict because you think this is going to be what frees Palestine from the ways that the IDF have been abusing them. Those are both positions that I would find to be at least reasonable to hold. This is not that. This is something a little bit different. This is literally being happy because you think the end of the world is coming. I shit you not. The end of the world is apparently going to be coming because of this, and that's what makes people happy. So let's go ahead and take a look at this article. I'm starting to see what people were saying with the new format making it hard to read stuff like this. So we're going to have to just try to sandwich this the way that it needs to go, and we're going to position myself a bit over here. Linnery says, I knew this was going to happen. Yeah, we're going to figure out something. We're going to figure out something. But let's take a look here. To read the full story, subscribe now, or we can just use this method. Anyway, on Tuesday, approximately 300... Jesus Christ, Epic Store, go the fuck away. On Tuesday, approximately 300,000 people gathered in Washington, D.C. to show their support for Israel in an ongoing war that has claimed the lives of thousands of people. The lined-up speakers at the March for Israel included Israeli President Isaac Herzog, Senator Chuck Schumer, Jewish-American celebrities like Deborah Messing, and Tova Feldshuh, as well as rabbis and cantors. It also included an evangelical Christian pastor from Texas, infamous for his fire and brimstone prophecies about the end of the world. He said, Israel, you are not alone! That's what John Hagee proclaimed in San Antonio twang. If a line has to be drawn, we draw it together. Christian and Jews, we are one. It's kind of funny that they say that. Christian and Jews being one is a wonderful sentiment that a lot of people tend to have right up until the point where they start talking about actual religious differences. Or, anti-Semitism. But, anywho, numerous progressive Jewish groups were aghast that Hagee was on the lineup. He's an open bigot on any number of levels, having condemned gay people and Muslims to hell, and even getting rebuked publicly by then-Republican presidential nominee John McCain for his hatred of Catholics. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and say right now, it makes sense. Sometimes, when you have a situation like this, when you have all of your allies gathered up in a single room, look around and ask yourself, which allies do I have here? Why do they all look... Why are they goose-stepping? Weird. Strange. Don't know how to feel about that one. What made Hagee's presence at a primarily Jewish event particularly odd is his history of bizarre and offensive comments about Jews themselves, such as claiming that Rothschild bankers control the U.S. economy, not to mention his embrace of a theology that views Jews as chess pieces for a massive apocalyptic battle in which the conversion of Jews to Christianity will set the stage for Jesus' triumphant return to earth. Based on his many books and sermons, when Hagee says Christian and Jews are one, what he really means is that when Jews convert en masse, the world will end in bliss for the saved and misery for everyone else. Of course. Of course. You see, these are the types of people who ostensibly want to stand with Jewish people, but really are... They want the world to conclude. They want the world to finish. They want it to finite. They want it to be done. Hagi's theology is at the core of an evangelical movement that has seen its influence rise meteorically in recent years, a doctrine called Christian Zionism. Hagi is perhaps its most famous and certainly among its most influential practitioners, and his presence at the March of Israel on Tuesday was, in many ways, a pinnacle for the ideology, which welcomes bloodshed in Gaza. So it's very, very important to recognize that this is something that has been going on for a long time. Christian evangelicals will wax lyrical, not about how important it is to save the lives of Jewish people, but how important it is to keep Israel established, because Israel's establishment is important as a piece on the board for the end of the world to happen. There's a lot of end of the world prophecies that are made in Revelation, and they hinge on Israel's reestablishment. They hinge on that entirely. In 2016, Hagi founded the enormously influential lobby Christians United for Israel, an organization that currently claims 10 million members, significantly more than the 8 million Jews that live in the United States. CUFI is a passionately Christian Zionist organization, saying that God is the original Zionist. That was a claim from Pastor Scott Thomas. Kufi's Florida state director in a sermon, hold on, that was me misreading something. Kufi routinely runs missions, fundraisers, campaign initiatives, summits, marches, and Stand With Israel prayer meetings. Its calendar for just 1 week in November 2023 shows the events in Washington, South Carolina, Utah, Maine, Illinois, Louisiana, and California. During the current war, Kufi has raised $2.65 million for Israeli charities through its large and responsive flock. Hagi also personally despises Jews, a fact that he has revealed in many sermons over the years. His interest in Israel and its population is purely utilitarian. Christian Zionists love Jews like a hungry man loves a chicken wing. It is an interest born out of a need for whose end is total consumption. Again, these are people that want the world to end in fire and brimstone. Sometimes they just directly translate that to thermonuclear warfare. These people love Jews only because they see Jews as a means to an end to keep Israel going the way that it needs to for their end-time prophecy to come to fruition. Yes, Knox, they want the world to turn to ash and they want to own the ashes. Despite his fiscal and propagandic support of Israel, Hagi himself has rationalized the history of persecution of the Jews as divine punishment for their disobedience to Christ. He has stated that Adolf Hitler was a half-breed Jew and that the Antichrist will be a homosexual, deceiving Jew. In a 1999 sermon, he famously remarked that God sent Adolf Hitler to help Jews reach the Promised Land. And this is the person that they think is going to help them. There are people who think that this is a good thing. People think that why? How do people think this is an okay thing? How do people think this is in any way reasonable? I do not understand. I do not understand even the slightest how people are just like, yeah, no, it's okay for the Jews to be around because we need them to all die violently for our make-believe end-of-the-world scenario. Why? Why are people like this? Why are they like this? The same year he funded Kufi, Hagi wrote a book laying out his specific geopolitical thesis of the end times, titled The Jerusalem Countdown, a warning to the world, later adapted to a Christian thriller film in 2011. In it, he predicts a vast and bloody war preceding Christ's return and the rapture, in which Islamic nations descended on Israel and then are slaughtered. He says, how many dead will there be? According to Ezekiel, verses 11 and 12, the physical death is going to be so massive, it will take every able-bodied man in Israel 7 months to bury the dead. The message is that God is in total control of what appears to be a hopeless situation for Israel. He has dragged these anti-Semitic nations to the nations of Israel to crush them, so that the Jews of Israel as a whole will confess that he is Lord. No. This is the type of insanity we're dealing with. The people who were like, no, it's okay. We support the Jews because we want them all slaughtered en masse so that they convert to our religion. Anybody who believes this, by the way, deserves to choke on a chicken wing bone. All of them. They do. There is no justification for them not immediately choking on a chicken wing bone. Nox Lubit says, I watch content about these topics because I want to stay informed. How do you manage your mental stability with all this horribleness around us? The answer to that, Nox, is I am numb to it. I escape it as often as I can. I am steeped in a deep depression, and I am mostly numb to it. That is the answer. I hope that answers your question. Despite, or perhaps because of, his blood-drenched rhetoric, Hagi is a prominent figure in the American evangelical landscape and in the Republican Party. He has appeared repeatedly with Donald Trump while courting other prominent right-wing political figures. Mike Pence, Nikki Haley, and Ron DeSantis have all prayed besides Hagi at his Cornerstone Church. Haley, a former governor of South Carolina and Trump's ambassador to the UN, actually launched her campaign at Hagi's church. Not incidentally, their opinions on the Israel-Hamas war have been bullish, and several GOP president candidates have vowed to militarily attack Iran. Said we need to go take out their infrastructure, Haley said during a recent GOP primary debate. Hagi's views, though extreme, are not entirely isolated from the evangelical community at large. In a poll conducted in 2018 by Christian research organization Lifeway Research, a staggering 80% of evangelicals agreed with the statement that the creation of the modern state of Israel was a fulfillment of biblical prophecy that shows that we are getting closer to the return of Christ. Yeah, well, I'm not surprised about that. These idiots think that everything is a prophecy that says we're going to return to Christ. Everything from the top to the bottom. Jesus Christ. He said this was borne out in a number of evangelical responses to the current Israel-Hamas war, which began on October 7th with the slaughter of over 1,000 Israelis by Hamas. I'm just going to go ahead and say that this particular conflict did not begin there. This conflict has been ongoing for years. But we'll go ahead and call it the current war. That makes it seem like it hasn't been happening for almost 100 years. So, the Evangelical Christian Post asked, does the ongoing bloodshed in Israel point to a potential fulfillment of biblical prophecy? I don't even want to know what the answer to that is. It's always going to be the same thing. They're always going to go, oh, yeah, no, it does. Prince Morgan says, what started it? Mostly the British. Mostly the British. So, basically, Israel was established in previously occupied land during the disillusionment of the Ottoman Empire. Britain basically gave the Arabs of the local area and the Jewish people the same plot of land. During their fights over this plot of land, the two-state solution has been proposed, and for various reasons, the two-state solution has not been reached. The idea of having the State of Israel and the State of Palestine. The State of Palestine has never been properly established, and the State of Israel has been largely supported by the world stage. So, there you have it. Like, that's what started this. It's not been a conflict. There are idiots that go, it's a conflict of religious beliefs. No, the fuck it's not. No, the fuck it's not. It hasn't been from the beginning. It's been a conflict about land. It has been a conflict from the get-go about land and the fights around that land and who gets to own that land. That has been the conversation from the beginning. It could have been Jews, it could have been Christians, it could have been atheists. It would not have mattered. Anybody who the British Empire told deserved that plot of land would have been involved in the same fight. It just so happens that establishing the State of Israel is something that Christian fundamentalists have a huge, huge slice of the pie, a huge, huge finger in that pie. Let's see here. The evangelical pastor Greg Laurie, author of more than 70 Christian books and a former spiritual advisor to Trump, said, "Fasten your seatbelts because you're seeing biblical prophecy fulfilled in your lifetime before your very eyes." Wayne J. Edwards, a pastor for the Heritage Baptist Church in Perry, Georgia, also responded with palpable glee, saying, "It's obvious that Israel's enemies do not recognize that God has given that land to the Jews, and that the Jews must be in that land for the final end-time prophecy to be fulfilled. Just think, God has allowed us to see the day when his prophetic clock started running again. We are the generation to see the final biblical prophecies come to pass. Rejoice, the King is coming." How many of you are getting traumatized merely by me using the evangelical cadence in this? How many of you have grown up with that and all you're having right now is fucking cold sweats and it's my fault? Good. Me too. This cheering on of the apocalypse from the cheap seats, this heady sense that Christ's return at the end of the world has started in the field of corpses, epitomizes evangelical reliance on the literal and exhaustive interpretation of biblical prophecy. Yep. It said it is cringeworthy PTSD? Yay. Clockwork Cookie says the final part of the final part of the final part of the last days, shortly before the last days of the last days. Oh, are you talking about the Attack on Titan ending? The final season of the final season of the final chapter of the final season of the final episodes of the final season, and oh god, it's finally over. That's that for me. Maybe. Jesus Christ. This whole thing, right now, America is hugely divided on the Israel-Gaza issue. People who voted for Joe Biden are now seeing his flagrant support for Israel specifically, and they are not sure how to handle that. They're not sure how to fix that. There are people who think that they are experts in world-spanning geopolitics, and that they have a solution that can solve the 100-year-long conflict that has been going on, for damn near ever, thanks to Britain, like most of the things. There are people, Trashermancer, thank you for the 100 bits, but there are people who believe not only that the end of the world is coming because of this, but that it's a good thing that it's coming. And people can't agree on that thing either. There are people who are calling for a ceasefire on here, but it's impossible to get a ceasefire through for a couple of reasons. For one, a ceasefire only works if both sides want to cease fire. A ceasefire only works if both sides have the same goal in mind. They don't. There's not a compromise that can be reached here. Otherwise, it would have been reached every other fucking time. But it hasn't. Now, is there a solution here? Yeah, there's a two-state solution that can be had here. Actually establish a state of Palestine. Actually make sure that it's on land that is fertile enough to grow crops and, support the people who are living on that land. That was one of the reasons that a two-state solution was denied years ago, is because a majority of the land was being given to Israel and all of the arable land was being given to Israel, with basically the trash left over for Palestinians. But again, I'm no expert on this. And here's the thing. Neither the fuck are you. Yes, you, in the audience right now. While I would love to hear your opinions on all of this, I'm going to say right now, none of you, me especially, none of us are equipped, are educated enough, are knowledgeable enough about all sides of this conflict to come to an accurate solution. And not just, there should be two states. No fucking duh, there should be two states. But the actual steps and processes that would be involved in that. Oh, let's make sure that Palestine needs some of the arable land that Israel currently occupies. We can agree on that. What do we do about the people who are already living on that land, who have been living on that land for a couple generations? What do we do there? Do we just kick them out of their homes? Would you be okay if we did that in America? It's a very awkward situation. But everybody's got an opinion here. The most I can give you for mine, aside from saying that I'd love to see y'all's opinions in the comments below, is bloodshed is bad, violence is bad, and as of right now, we need to find a way to get to a two-state solution where Palestinians can be free from oppression from the IDF, and Israel can still have a land for itself. Also, I think that Israel should not be an ethno-state, but it is currently a religious ethno-state. I do not believe that the current existence of Israel is you know, very, very good, because I'm not in favor of ethno-states in general. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'm sure I'll hear everybody's half-assed opinions on the Gaza conflict. Oh, especially if you're gonna, you know, unsubscribe to me for both sidesing things here. Go ahead. I would love to hear those. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, everyone, insert end the video tagline here. Hey guys, welcome to the end of the video. Hopefully you had fun. I know that a lot of times my content can be a certain flavor of suffering, but maybe there'll be a little bit of a reprieve here in the fan art section. So this first one here is from Jassa, or not Jassa, is from Calder Ulfer. Very much a work in progress, but I figured I would post the line art and the colored version later. This is a reference to the Worlds Collide Sonic and Mega Man comic. I used the Mobian Suris design by Smacko for the Suris stand-in. I love little comics like this. You're a threat to the peace and must be stopped. That's hilarious coming from someone who fires out a jelly knight disguised as cat jellies. Jesus. The next one we have here is from Maki Himiko. While I've been struggling to do art, I've been doing a lot of papercrafts, and I decided to make my first custom papercraft based on Slime Girl Suris. I've attached a template here, as well as instructions in the form of a Google Doc and a link to the printer-compliant version of the template. Go! Make Slime Girl Army. And here is what it looks like when it's done. This is amazing and adorable, and I have not seen anybody do something like this. Holy shit, I love this. Thank you so fucking much. And the last one we have here is from Depleted Caffeine. Said I wanted to work on this for the whole weekend, but my D2 hardcore character died, so I only had today. Also, hello everyone, I'm new here. Well, hello Depleted Caffeine. This 3D model is fucking gorgeous. I want to know if you've made it in a way that it can be printed. I want to 3D print this. This is beautiful. As always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it in the fan art section of the Discord. With that all said, let's move on to the credits. Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep this show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability that Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Britzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you, I'm not saying that part, and Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.